Greetings, everyone. I hope you all are safe and healthy. A warm welcome and greetings from ManageEngine. On behalf of ManageEngine family, I would like to extend our sincere thanks to all our customers, partners, and users who are currently evaluating our products. Thank you very much for joining this webinar. The webinar series is about endpoint management and security solutions. We are on the week 2. We are going to look at the endpoint management and security solutions today. Let me introduce myself. My name is Santosh Narasimhamurthy, and I am part of endpoint management and security line of products for ManageEngine. I'm a technical evangelist. I help customers to make sure they take right choices when it comes to endpoint management and security. Now, when it comes to ManageEngine, endpoint management and security, this is the different portfolios that we have. We have two different portfolios in which we offer our products. One under management category, the other one under security category. Now, these are the different point products for specific functionalities. If you are looking for a comprehensive vulnerability assessment and management, you can go with Vulnerability Manager Plus. That's a specific product for that. And if you're looking for an exclusive patching solution for all the application patches and operating system patches, you go with Patch Manager Plus. And with the increase in cloud-based applications, managing and securing browsers is also important. So we have a separate product called Browser Security Plus. And if you're looking for a DLP solution to control the USB-based peripherals on your endpoints, then Device Control Plus will be your choice. If you have an Microsoft SCCM and if you would like to go with third-party patching using the same SCCM, then Patch Connect Plus will be your choice. If you're looking for application control, whitelisting, blacklisting of applications, and privileged access management for applications, then Application Control Plus would be your choice. Now, these products are available as separate point products and also as one suite under Desktop Central Unified Endpoint Management. So on the right, if you see on the top, you have desktop. On the left, you have Desktop Central on the top, which is the Unified Endpoint Solution. So that has all the management features and the security features in one console, the Unified Endpoint Management, right? And we do have other management and security functionalities like Mobile Device Manager Plus, Enterprise Mobility Management, OS Deployer, which gives you a comprehensive imaging solution for Windows-based machines for now. Remote Access Plus, this is more of remote management to do with the computers that you have. So this is the suite of products that we have. You do have point products as well as one suite which has everything in it. Now, today, welcome to Desktop Central's training. We are going to look at the Unified Endpoint Security, or we call it as the Security Add-on, which is tuned for the digital workspace. Let's quickly look at the training agenda or training schedule. Now, the training schedule, we are on the week 2. We're looking at the Unified Endpoint Security, or known as Security Add-ons. Week 1, we had patch management, and which was earlier week. And if you'd like to, if you have missed patch management, you can go to the link that's shown on the bottom of the screen. You should be able to view the videos for the past webinars. And for the upcoming webinars, you can go ahead and register yourself as well. So we have software management coming up, asset management, remote control, and onboarding at the last. So this is a series you can register and know more about the Unified Endpoint Management. We do offer participation certificate for these webinars for the series 1, specifically for these series only. So if you go to the link that's shown on the screen, you should be able to view which are the modules that come under the series 1, 2, 3, and 4. Nothing but the ones that I've shown. Adding on to it, you will have mobile device management and OS deployment. Keep in mind, you will receive the certificate at the end of the series, which is at July 21st. Once all the series is complete, then you will receive a certificate with the number of modules that you have attended. If you have attended all the modules, 8 modules, then you will have the certificate inclusive for all the 8 modules. So you will receive your participation certificate at the end of the series. Let me go over through the agenda that I have for the next 45 minutes. So I'm going to keep it very, very simple. We're going to talk about the overview of what Desktop Central is, what this product is all about, and then I'm going to talk about if we are equipped to manage the distributed workforce that we have currently. And to know about that, I'm going to introduce CIS top 5 critical security controls, or I'm going to talk more about it and how it can lock down your endpoints, how it can give you a comprehensive security. Moving down, then how we can respond to the known vulnerabilities, address those vulnerabilities at the endpoint level. Then I'll move down to see how you can restrict people from using non-business applications, application control. Then we will look at another security angle of securing the browsers. How do you manage and secure browsers using Browser Security Plus? And then we will also look at BitLocker management. Encryption is one of the important standards, security standards that we always stick to. So let's also talk about the BitLocker management. So we'll be looking into these aspects from the view of CIS top 5 critical controls, how the security add-on can add value to your day in and day out IT management. Finally, you'll have data leak prevention by device control for USB-based peripherals. And if time permits, we will also look into the architecture of Desktop Central. Now, if you're more interested about the architecture of Desktop Central on how to install the agents and how to manage these endpoints, then we are exclusively having a webinar. The last webinar that we have in this series, onboarding and configuration, will have more details on the architecture and how you can install the agents and things like that. So if you're interested in those things and if you want to set up your environment, stay tuned for the last webinar as well. You can register it. So that will be complete architecture webinar, followed by a few other features as well. This will be my agenda. So let's go into the webinar. Like I said, the overview of Desktop Central for people who are using it for the first time or probably looking into Desktop Central. What is Desktop Central? Desktop Central is a unified endpoint management. So it can manage all the devices from a single console. It could be a Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, Android, or different other operating systems as well. We can manage all these from a single console. And a famous market reviewer called Forrester defines unified endpoint management like this. They say products that can provide a centralized policy engine that can manage and secure your employees' laptops, mobile devices, all from a single console. So we ManageEngine Desktop Central fit into this criteria. We try to get all the features under one roof called Desktop Central Unified Endpoint Management. Now, what's this Desktop Central Unified Endpoint Management Edition has? Now, people who've been into the IT for more than 10 years would understand the point products. We called it as client management. So the traditional management of point products for patching purpose, application deployment purpose, asset management purpose, we had client management tools. Along with that, you add mobile device management, enterprise mobility management, which came in after that to manage your mobile devices in a similar fashion, patch them, deploy applications, and deploy secure configurations to them. Then came modern managements for modern operating systems, which is your Windows 10 and Mac OS for now. So we do have that also added to the edition, modern management for Windows 10 and Mac OS for modern operating systems. And then finally, we have imaging solution, OS deployment, which is also added to the Unified Endpoint Management edition of Desktop Central. So all these together, both your traditional management and your modern management, modern way of controlling the traditional devices, all those together bundled in Unified Endpoint Management suite of products. So this is the overview of the Unified Endpoint Management. What are the different features, high-level features that you can get from the Desktop Central Unified Endpoint Management? We have 4 different offerings. We have a cloud version of Desktop Central. We have an on-premise version as well. We do have MSP versions for people who are managing multiple customers. We do have a specific solution called RMM. You could probably search about that as well. And we do have Enterprise Edition for the Desktop Center. This is just the overview of what this product is all about and what are the different features you have towards patch management, vulnerability assessment, remote management, asset intelligence, data alert prevention, then web protection, all these things all from a single console. So in these management aspects of unified endpoint management, today we're going to concentrate on 5 different security functionalities that's present on the Desktop Central Unified Endpoint Management. We will be focusing on the application control, the vulnerability management, device control, encryption, and browser security. This is in a nutshell of what we are going to cover in today. I would also like to mention one thing is that we have been recognized consistently in the Gartner Peer Insight Customer Choice Award. So we've been recognized in 2018, 2019, and 2021 as well. In 2020, there was a slight difference in the criteria that they gave for the unified endpoint management. That's why it's not there. However, we've been consistent in the area of unified endpoint management for 2018, 2019, and 2021 as well. We are also recognized in the top 4 2021 IDC MarketScape reports as well. If you want to know more about the review of the products, just go to the link that's shown on the bottom of the screen. You should be able to read the customer reviews as well as the different awards that we have. Coming back to the unified endpoint management, let's look at what are the different operating systems that we support. We support Windows, Mac, and Linux operating systems as well. So these are the supported operating systems from Desktop Central Unified Endpoint Management. Now keep in mind the central server. If you're using an on-prem server, the central server will be running on Windows platform. It is a server that's going to run on Windows platform only, but you can manage different endpoints at different operating systems. You can have servers, you can manage Windows OS, you can manage Mac OS, you can manage Linux OS as well. These are the different flavors that we support at the moment. Now, if you have any other Linux versions that you want to add to the support list, or if you like Desktop Central to manage, then please feel free to contact us on the bottom of the screen, Desktop Central-support at ManageEngine.com for more information. We would love to help you and see how we can support the other operating systems as well. Now, to understand the way the product works in a better sense, I'm just taking one example or one storyline that we usually do for our webinars. Considering myself for the presenter as John, and consider I have a huge IT team or a small IT team who's responsible for managing a distributed workforce such as this. I might have different locations, different offices, and right now, even due to the pandemic situations, I might have a lot of roaming users. There are in few countries where they are back to the office scenario as well. So there could be users who are connecting it from different locations as well. Whatever it is, the end result is with Desktop Central, John will be able to manage all these infrastructure. I can manage roaming users who are on the internet. I can manage different locations by adding distribution points. I can add different locations, something similar to Bogota on the South America, where you have less bandwidth, who are all connected through a VPN. If you have less bandwidth, then you still can manage those endpoints as well. And something like a Chennai location where you have unlimited bandwidth still connected through a VPN, you still can manage those endpoints as well. So this is the understanding of how Desktop Central operates. LAN agents, WAN agents, you can manage the entire infrastructure. Now, during the pandemic or during the remote work kind of approach, we had 2 types of challenges that still exist, I believe. Some users connect to the corporate network using VPN, and some use cloud-based applications. If you fall under either of the way, it could be the first one through VPN connections, accessing the applications, or your applications are all cloud. You just need an internet connection to handle. Maybe they can have bandwidth restrictions as well. If you fall under either of the categories, the team should be able to manage those infrastructures as well. We do have some of the challenges during work from home, but you should effectively be able to secure and manage your endpoints. With this infrastructure in mind, the question goes to John: are you equipped to manage a distributed workforce? Let's look at how we can go ahead and manage and secure this workforce. In view of this, like I mentioned on my agenda, let's take CIS critical security controls for example. I'm going to keep this as a reference and show you how the security add-ons or the security features of Desktop Central align along with these critical security controls, the top 5, and how you can address those things and reduce the attack surface for your endpoints. So first one that talks about is of authorized and unauthorized. Control says you need to have a list of authorized and unauthorized devices. Not only devices, they also go up and say you need to have an inventory of authorized and unauthorized software as well. So you need to have what the users are installed, how many are authorized. If they have unauthorized application somehow installed, you need to have those lists and taken away. It has to be prohibited. Then you need to have secure configuration or secure policies for all your hardware and software. So you need to have secure policies, meaning you need to know how you're going to manage your hardware and different applications from a central standpoint. You need to have a secure configuration. Fourth one would be continuous vulnerability assessment and remediation. So you need to have a comprehensive vulnerability management, which could assess your environment. In turn, it should be able to remediate those vulnerabilities as well. The last one talks about the controlled use of administrative privileges, meaning how do you control or restrict administrative rights in your environment. You don't have to give administrative rights for everybody. How do you take and give these administrative rights as per your needs? That should also be controlled. See that these are the top 5 CIS controls that talks about reducing the attack surface. Now with this point, I translate that into the Desktop Central version, where you can go for an endpoint lockdown. I call it as you lock down the endpoints. Even during the COVID-19, we all locked down from the external environments where it's prone for attacks, COVID-19 attacks. Similarly, you lock down your endpoints with this circle of security, where you have allowed application that goes ahead and protects you from non-business or malicious applications, patch management, encryption, firewall, antivirus, browser security, network access control, data leak prevention, and endpoint privilege access management. So if you have this ring of security, this should reduce the attack surface, and this should protect your endpoints effectively, place them under endpoints lockdown. That's the understanding, logical understanding. Let's go ahead and take the vulnerability assessment as the first point. Let's see how it is done on the product. So the first lockdown that I'm going to talk about will be the vulnerability management. Let me directly take you to the product to understand it better. So this is Desktop Central Unified Endpoint Management Console. The overview, or you can see the different modules where you have threats and patches, software deployment, inventory for asset management, imaging solution, OS deployment, mobile device management, browser security, application control, BitLocker management, device control, and tools for remote management. So this is Desktop Central Unified Endpoint Management with all the security controls added to the Desktop Central. Now, there are 2 things I want to clarify. There will be a question, why there are no security features in my Desktop Central, as in I can see it on the screen right now. Well, you can upgrade to the latest version. You don't have to be necessarily on the version that's shown on the screen. I am on the version 10.703, but you don't have to be on the same 703 version. You can upgrade yourself to the latest version that's available on the internet. For our customers, you can just go ahead and update your server. You should be able to get these security features on your Desktop Central server as well. That's number 1. Number 2, you will have to enable these security features in your Desktop Central. How do I enable it? Go to admin, So you'll have an admin control on the top. You can click on the admin, and you see something called Endpoint Security Add-on. Under the add-on list, click on that. Now you will have an option to enable it. Mine is already enabled, and that's the reason why it's not showing enable or disable option here. I'm licensed for it. That's why it shows you the activation date and how many machines are managed. So if you'd like to enable it, you can go to the admin endpoint security add-on, and you should be able to enable it. Once you enable it, refresh the page, you should be able to see all these add-ons into your console. Now there will be other questions. Does the add-on comes along with the unified endpoint management, or is it separately priced? The answer is, for this, the security add-on is separately licensed. If you have unified endpoint management or an enterprise, you can still opt for the security add-ons, and it will be separately licensed, and you can get that added to your desktop central as well. So this is how you get you get the endpoint management security features into your desktop central. Let's go to the first one. John has to manage the different vulnerabilities that's available. The first one would be the threats. So we spoke about patch management in the last session, the last week. So we're going to target on the threats or vulnerabilities this week, right? So at the endpoint, you might have vulnerabilities that has a patch, that may not have a patch as well. So with Desktop Central Agent, it runs a scan at the endpoint. It's going to detect how many vulnerabilities has patches, as you can see on the screen that says patching available, and there could be some vulnerabilities that doesn't have a patch available. We detect those things as well. So that's one of the big difference between a Patch Manager Plus and a Vulnerability Manager Plus. The Patch Manager Plus, if you're using patching solution exclusively, it would detect the vulnerabilities that requires patch. But if you're going with vulnerability assessment, it will detect the vulnerabilities that even does not have a patch. What do I do? Then you can click on those vulnerabilities, and it will have a link that talks about what this vulnerability is all about. Probably we can suggest you, it also suggests you to either remove it or alternative approach for those vulnerabilities. So you have those options here. Say for example, if John wants to monitor the different vulnerabilities that's present at his server operating systems, I can do different filters as well. Say John wants to install all the patches that are available for the server operating systems. I want to see how many vulnerabilities are there. So I click on a filter. I can add a filter like this, and on the column I can select, say, operating system criteria equals. I'm going to choose one server for now. That's 2012. That probably for some of you it's definitely end of life. So click on apply. It's going to fetch the details for all the server 2012 vulnerabilities that is available. In case if a patch is available, it's going to show us available status. For my filter, all the vulnerabilities that's detected has patches. So if I have to install, all I have to do is select all the patch here, click on install patch. It's going to ask you whether you want to proceed yes or no. You click on yes, it takes you to the patch configuration page. So in the patch configuration page, it's going to pre-fill all the patches that are required, and you can select a policy when and how you want to deploy these patches, which time, whether you want to reboot or not. Those things can be configured. It also pre-fills the target systems as well, since we know we have filtered all the server operating systems for John will be filtered and it will be auto added. Then I can go ahead or deploy immediately. So the patches will be deployed right from here. Now, if you want to know more about patch management, you can probably look at the video for the last webinar, or even probably register for the upcoming webinars as well. Patch management we have already completed last week. So I'm not going to talk too much on patch management. Let me go back to the vulnerability assessment again. So that's about application vulnerabilities, operating system vulnerabilities. You have a patch, you deploy it. You don't have a patch, go for an alternative. That's the approach that you have here. The second thing is, the system, not only the application has vulnerabilities, the system may have vulnerabilities because of the different configurations that you have due to the policies that you have set in. Something like, say, for example, John wants to find out how many machines have this TLS version 1.1 enabled. I can very well go to the filter and I can add filters to understand. Say I can say for the category that I want equals SSL and TLS security, apply. So it's going to tell me what are the different vulnerabilities under SSL and TLS security, what are the different machines that's affected because of that. And you can see the list of machines that's affected because of this category. Now, if John wants to remediate something like TLS version 1.1, which is malicious, I can deploy a configuration right from here. You click on deploy secure configuration, it's going to disable this version 1.1 on the affected machines. In my case, it's just one machine, but if you have multiple machines, it's better to click on that, see which machine it is, and then select it and deploy that configuration. Now, if you don't, what if you don't have a remediation for it? Say, for example, I'm going to add the same filter just for a better understanding. It should be based on the category equals, going with SSL and TLS security, apply. So here you can see a mix and match. Some of them has a remediation, some does not. If it does not have a remediation, you can click on that. We are going to tell you how you can do it. You have to either fix it manually, or we will show you links that can tell you how to fix the problems, right? We will have those information available. This is system mesh configuration. Moving up, you might have high risk software because of end of life applications or remote desktop sharing. You can remove those applications as well. The next one is about web server misconfiguration. Not just at the application level or at the endpoint level, we also detect web server misconfigurations, and we tell you how to resolve those things as well. So click on view resolution here. It's going to talk about how you can resolve these web server issues. Then the last one under the vulnerability assessment is the port audit. This is more of an audit, not a vulnerability. What are the different ports that's been used at your endpoints? What are the different services that's running using these ports? And you can decide on whether you want to block those at the firewalls, or what do you want to do about it. You can take actions. This is more of an audit. So software level vulnerabilities, operating system level vulnerabilities, zero-day vulnerabilities that's available, system level misconfigurations vulnerabilities, high risk software vulnerabilities will be detected, and you will have remediation for those vulnerabilities as well. This is comprehensive vulnerability assessment and remediation. Now, moving on to the second one would be the application control, right? How do I lock down my endpoint using application control? How do I restrict people from non-business application, running non-business applications? That's the second security level that we are going to talk about. Now, we have separate add-on that says application control that takes care of this problem for you. Now, before I go into the application control, I also want to mention you that Desktop Central do have a functionality where you can deploy the application centrally through software deployment. There is an module that says software deployment, in which you can create packages either manually or through our templates and deploy those applications to all your endpoints. Now, they can be in any part of the world. They can be at internet cafe. They can be at a different location or at home. You should be able to deploy applications centrally from the server. We are going to talk more about it on the next webinar. Please sign up for the next webinar. We should be able to know how to do that. While we centrally deploy those applications from the Desktop Central, now the application control gives you an edge to curtail what are the different applications that can run, what are the different EXEs that can run at the endpoint level, what can be restricted. You can post those controls using application control. If somebody requests an application, you install it through software deployment when a request comes in, but control the different applications that's present. Do I do it? Let's see how John does it. The first, groups. You want to create a group that you want to manage. So you go to admin, you go to a column called custom groups on the far left side. So on the custom groups, you can create 3 types of groups. This is a global group. Remember, the same custom groups can be used for different security functions. If you want to create a browser policy, the same custom groups comes in. If you want to create application control, same custom groups comes in. If you want to deploy patches to that group, same custom groups comes in. So you can create different groups called the custom groups in Desktop Central, so that you can utilize it for global policy making. That's the understanding. We have three types of groups. One is called the static group, the other one is static unique, the other one is dynamic. With a static group, now if you want to add one machine to one group and the same machine should be also be part of another group, then you go with static group. Machine can be part of Dallas, and it can also be a part of a group that's called USA or United States. So it could be part of both the group. Both are valid. The location could be Dallas, and on a whole level, holistic approach, it could also be a part of a country as well, United States. Look, so that's static group. Static unique is a group wherein you put these machines in one group. This should not be available on other group at all. Say, for example, I have server operating systems or critical servers. I can group them using static unique groups. So these are critical groups. These machines can never be part of another static unique groups, and these machines should be uniquely managed by someone. So in that case, you go with static unique. And the third one, dynamic, is based on a criteria. Say, for example, I want to group machines under specific IP address, or I want to group machine based on a specific software. Say, for example, you might have different clients and different departments. Different departments may have different softwares installed. So you can say, if they have, for example, if they have Cisco installed, Finicity installed, then you group those machines separately with the software name, software versions. You create dynamic groups, and you can take actions on them. So this is group creations. And for all our test cases today, I'm going to use static cases, and the group name will be London group that I have created here. As you can see, John has created this London group with 3 missions in it, which is going to be a static group. Let's see how we can deploy policies groups. Going to the application control, I have already created the group. Now the second job is to create a list of applications that's allowed and a list of applications that's not allowed. So I can create a list of allowed applications. So I can either choose it by product name, verified executable. Now you have to understand Desktop Central, while it runs a scan at all your endpoints, it's going to take all the EXEs that's running on your endpoints as well. So it's going to take an inventory of that. It's going to show you what are the different EXEs that's available, and you can choose which EXEs you can run and which should not be run. So if you see some of the EXEs that's not required for your business, then you can move them to blacklist. Otherwise, if you think they are valid, you can put them on whitelist based on file hash, based on folder. So based on different value, I can go ahead and select it. So once I'm done, as you can see, you have an allowed application. I have already created it. So allowed application list, it has a list of applications that's allowed for John's environment. Once I create a list, then it's all about defining the policy. So I have created a custom group for my machines. I have created an allowed application list. Now it's about deploying the policy. Now I go to deploy policy, and then I choose the group that I have created. As you can see, the London group. So I have selected the London, and then I am going to associate a specific rule, which is allowed application. So for this London group of machines, this will be the selected applications that will be allowed in their environment. Now I can go with 2 ways. I can either say go with an audit mode or go with a strict mode. If I go with a strict mode, which means apart from the allowed application list that I have given here, if they run anything else, I would just audit and send it to the administrator saying, hey, you have created A, B, C as the allowed list, but the user is running X, Y, and Z. What do you want to do about it? We call it as gray list. You can either move them to whitelisting or you can move them to blacklisting as well. That's audit mode. The second type will be strict mode. If you put strict mode, then you understand the meaning of it. It's self-explanatory. Apart from the listed applications, no other applications will be allowed to run on the end user. So that's strict mode. So along with this policy, we have one more functionality that we give you, which is called associate privileged application list. What is this all about? Now, some applications may require elevated privileges for normal functionality, right? So you don't want to give this elevated privileges for all the users. Instead, what you say is that you tell Desktop Central saying these are the applications that require administrative privilege, which means whenever the user tries to run this application, go ahead and elevate the privilege for that application, for that session, for that user alone. The moment they close the application, you go ahead and disconnect and revoke the administrative rights. So by this, you don't have to, really give administrative privilege for anybody. Rather, you tell Desktop Central which application requires administrative privilege. Those applications will be given privileges whenever they require or they try to run. So those two things are configured. One is you choose whether you want to go for whitelist or blacklist. You choose your group, and then you go for strict or audit mode, and then you select the privileged application list. Then you go ahead and deploy it. This is application control for you. And you can even allow temporary access as well. We do have those options where you can raise a temporary access. You can say selected machines. I can say, for example, this machine can access all the applications for a specific window or specific time. That's possible. You can go ahead and deploy it to the targets, or you can set a time window for 8 hours. You're free to use. So this is temporary access creation. This is application control for you. The second endpoint security lockdown feature. First one will be the vulnerability assessment and remediation. The second one would be the application control, application level control that you can provide. The third one is one of the important aspects, which is browser security. With an increase in cloud-based applications that we have, browsers have become a very part of our IT infrastructures, where we access everything almost from the browsers. So securing browsers are very important. For now, we support Chrome, Internet Explorer, Edge, and Firefox. Let me get into the product to give you a better idea. Now, to understand the browser security, I have taken CIS benchmarks, right? Different CIS benchmarks that we have for different browsers. The first one will be for the Internet Explorer, and I can relate these CIS benchmarks to the browser security, and I can tell you how it is done on the product. Then you can relate what are the different security measures that you can create from the browser security aspect. So the first one, the critical security that CIS talks about, level 1 security, is don't let the user handle or enable add-ons. You have to configure the way users enable or disable the add-ons. Why? Because when user is allowed to install an add-on that's not permitted by our organization, it could pose a significant risk for the organization. That's one of the important aspects. So how you handle the add-ons is very, very important. All the recent attacks that we've been seeing are either through add-ons or through browsers. So it's important that you handle the add-ons. Let me go to the product that's under browser. Again, if John wants to implement a security policy, just like how he did for application control, the first thing he has to do is define the computers or the groups. Again, it goes to the same custom group. I have already created a group called London. So the first policy that I created to secure them will be my application control. I have created an allowed list and I have applied the policy. Now the second policy is for the browsers that are under the London group. Now I have created a group called London. Then it's about creating website groups. Now you can split your website groups into the corporate groups or non-organizational sites, however you want to. I have split that into corporate sites, social networking sites. How do I want to handle corporate sites? How do I want to handle social networking sites? I have split them into two. Then comes extension repository. How do I go ahead and distribute the extensions right from here? How do I add an extension? So I go here, click on add extension. Let's say Chrome. It tells me to enter an extension identifier. How do I get it? you go to Chrome extensions, and pick an extension that you want to add to your repository. So I'm going to probably pick this one out, and you see on the top on the URL you have this code that's at the URL. Copy it and paste it on the identifier. Click on add. It's going to add that extension to your list. So I'm going to go add it, right? So this is adding the extension, and you can even associate or distribute it to specific computers as well. If you think these are the extensions that can be distributed to your endpoints, you can very well do it. Here you can see associated groups, associated computers, how many are done. Right. Moving on to the policy, add-on policy. Now here you take the decision of whether you want to allow the users to pick the add-on extensions or not. If you say they can pick the extensions, however, some of them like YouTube will be blacklisted, and they should not be using these extensions. Or there is another way to look at it as well. They can use these extensions, however, I can blacklist the permissions, things like audio capture, video capture, screen capture, and TTS engines, and how about connecting to other devices through your endpoints, histories. All these permissions can be blacklisted. You can select the permission that has to be allowed for specific extensions or add-ons, right? That's a comprehensive add-on management. Let me tell you another CIS security feature as well that talks about the Java permissions. Now they specifically say Java permissions has to be managed, because Java applications, even though if you are into a security zone, I'm talking more about virtual security zone for the internet browsing. Even though you are on a security zone, if you have Java applications, if it has a malicious code, then CIS believe that this malicious code can be deployed and it could cause potential data theft. So it's important to set Java permissions, who has to use it, who should not use it, which version should be used, and all these things should be done in the browsers. So we can do that in browser security as well. So you go to browsers, and John can define that policy down in the place that says Java Manager. In the Java Manager, I can go ahead and say for example, all website groups. Let's go with the group that I've created. All the corporate sites should run on a specific version of Java. So I go ahead and say, I select a specific version, anything above that, and I save and publish it. Now I also create another policy in which I'm going to say block Java for all the social networking sites, because most of the games or other things that you do, it has Java in it. So I go ahead and say block Java for that website group, and I save and publish. Two policies I've created. One policy is about add-on, one policy is about the Java Manager. Now I should apply these policies to the computers that I have given. Let's go to manage. This is the London group. I click on action and I say deploy policies. Now it's going to give you the different policies that you have created for your organization, corporate sites, blocking Java, blocking Facebook, or an add-on policy. You can select on the different policies that you want, and you can click on deploy. That's going to deploy those policies on the London group of machines that you have created. This is browser security for you. And it does have a lot of other functionalities which I'm not able to go through based on time. Things like web filter. Say, for example, you don't want the employees to run Facebook during your office hours. I can set that up. Block Facebook during the hours. I can go ahead and give that over here from 9 a.m. till evening, right? So I can give that and block those social networking sites. Not only that, you have browser lockdown. If you'd like to put down, log the machines down, to a specific websites. Say, for example, I don't want them to use anything apart from the corporate sites. I can do that as well. Browser complete lockdown or isolation in data in per sessions. That is also available. So whenever they browse the URLs, it would go into a sandbox. The moment they close it, all the data is deleted. So that's more like a corporate and a personal space, creating something like that. And that's a data in persistent session that's going to be there. And you also have threat prevention, different levels of threat preventions that you can add, things like flash restrictions, plugin protection, third-party inject websites with inject code. You can restrict those things, file download restrictions, all those policies you can create and post it on the browsers. One other important aspect is the compliance. We have created standard CIS compliance and stick compliances for you. So if you go into those reports, it will tell you how many machines are compliant, how many machines are non-compliant. You can then take actions. Say for my machines, which is 6 non-compliant, which is great. You can go ahead and click on fix it, and you should be able to see how to fix that, and you can define policies for it. On top of that, you also have insights, meaning how many harmful plugins are there, how many machines have malicious content, and what is the health of the browsers, how many plugins they have, potentially harmful extensions, how many are there, invalid extensions, how many are there. All those details will be available for you. So in my environment, Chrome is 93% vulnerable. So that's the insight you get. How many machines are installed with Chrome, how many extensions are there, how many potential harmful extensions are there, how many outdated versions are there, all those from a single view. This is browser security for you. Moving down to the next one, it talks about the device control, data leak prevention for USB based peripherals. That's called device control for you. So just like how we did on application control, just like how we did on a browser, the first thing that we have to do is create custom groups. Now I have already created a group called London, so I'm going to define a policy now. So I go to policies, create policy. So probably I'm going to edit one of the policies that's all been published, modify. So I can say either block all the storage devices or say allow. Say only specific file extension should be copied, or specific less than, you can put a size less than this size, the files can be copied. You can restrict based on that, or give only read-only permissions. I can do that. Or on top of it, if you want to know what files being copied into these drives, I can do file shadowing as well. File shadowing and file tracing is also available. So it's going to take a copy of a file that's been copied into these drives and keep it on a share. You can then later use it for audit purpose. File shadowing and file tracing is also there. So you can create this policy. Once the policy is created, just like how you did for other, you can go ahead and associate this policy to a group. Save and publish. I have selected the London group again. So that's the device control policy. Save and publish. So once you do that, so now we have a policy for vulnerability assessment. Now we have a policy for allowed application. Now we have a policy that's set for browser. Now we have a policy that's been set for device control. All these policies is what CIS defines as secure configuration for your hardware and software. So if you have a security policy on how you're going to handle the devices, that's very important in point of achieving CIS benchmarks, right? And we also have temporary access that can be provided as well. Either you can a server, or we have temporary access portal that people can utilize, right? They can raise a request from this portal. Let's say I want to use a disk drive, and I say a device instance path, how much time I want, send in a request, and the request will be available here on the temporary access. There you go, the first one that came in. So you can either go ahead and deploy it or delete it. This is a device control for you, right? So with that, I'm going to one other feature would be the BitLocker management. So that's one of the important area. Encryption of your endpoints is an important function. Here you can create a policy. Again, let's go ahead and create a policy, or probably use the same one that's already there. Create a policy, device encryption, and you can encrypt or decrypt a device. You can store the keys on the server, or you can copy it or update the domain controller on the recovery keys. You can rotate the keys for every 90 days or 30 days, or how much you want. It can rotate the keys and store them on the domain controller for you. Or if you would like to retrieve the identifier or the key using the identifier, that's reporting is also available here. So comprehensive BitLocker management is available for people who choose security add-on completely. And we also manage file vault encryptions as well. So that will be covered under mobile device management for Mac OS. So we manage file vault encryption as well as BitLocker encryptions as well. So that's to give you an understanding. So with that, the security features of Desktop Central comes to an end. About the vulnerability assessment, or about the browsers, or about the application control, you can create different policies associated to the group of machines, and you will reduce the attack surface for these machines as well. Now we are available on prem and on cloud as well. Just to give you a heads up, security features are not available on cloud at the moment. We are working to publish them for the cloud version, but if you'd like to view the other features on the cloud version, you can sign up at desktopcentral.manageengine.com. You should be able to manage all other functionalities except for these security features. Patch management is definitely available. The browsers or probably the application control is not available yet. We are working on to provide it at the earliest, right? And the architecture for the Desktop Central will be handled at the last webinar that we have. With that, I'm going to wrap up. In case you guys have any questions, I would take up those questions right now. Let me probably look at the questions and probably try to answer some of the important questions that we have. Where can I find the recorded videos for the session? So once the session is over, we will be sending you a copy of recording either by tomorrow or day after. You would receive it. Even or otherwise, you can still go to the link. I can show that over here. So this is our existing schedule, and the link that's shown on the bottom of the screen will have links to go to the recorded videos that we have. So yeah, the person has requested the link on chat. My team would be able to provide them. So what kind of audit reports? There's another question that's related to device control that says what type of reports they have. So let's probably look at it for the interest of everyone. So go to reports here for file shadowing. So file tracing, since it doesn't have any data, I'm going to go for a demo site. Right. So let's look at the reports, different reports. To answer his question, yes, we do take a copy of every file that's going to copy it into it. And if they have modified the file, that's going to also be, meaning if they have renamed, things like that, will also be captured basically. So I'm just trying to give you the view of how it looks like. So I go to reports. This is Device Control Plus as a separate product. The same is available inside Desktop Central as an add-on, just to give you an idea. So I go to file shadowing. As you can see, what file was copied, which share, it has taken a copy of the file, and then it has placed it on a network share. File time and the file name will also be there. Anytime that they copy, every file they copy, it will take a copy of that. File tracing talks about the file name alone. If they have modified the file name, what was the extensions, what's the file size, what type of file it is, all those things will be available in file tracing. These are the two types of reports. So can I hide these things? One other question is, can I hide these menus from the list? Yes, you can definitely do that. We call it as user access control. So you go to admin, user administration. You can create a role. Say, for example, I may not be able to do it because of my licensing, but then in the user administration, let me try to do that for you again. Right? So I can create a role in which add role, which are the modules that you want to have a control on, right? If it's just patch management, software deployment, inventory, and tools, is this what you have to give it to your technician? Yes, you can. You can define what you want, whether they can read, write, or probably have full control to it. You can define it. If you say no access, MDM will not be there. OS deployment will not be there. User-based access control is also there. Right? So that is another interesting question. If a program was already installed and then DC agent comes into picture, will it recognize it as a whitelisted program already, or you will have to add it one more time? No, it will automatically, the moment they run the VLC program again, it will automatically get scanned, and it will also see the whitelist. If it's all under the whitelist, we will leave it. If it's blacklisted, it's not going to let them run. So every time they trigger exe, it's going to look at the list and then only take a decision on that. Port audit does it include portable disks used on the endpoints? Now, if you want to know about the portable disk that's been connected to the endpoint, we have inventory of that. In fact, we have a separate report under reports. So let me probably show you that. You go to reports and USB reports. So it's going to tell you what are the different USBs that's connected to the machine. That's been 1068 count. So it's going to tell what were the different USBs that's been plugged in, who used it, how much time it was connected, what's the device instance ID. All those will be captured, right? You can view them separately. BitLocker management is available for people who are choosing security add-on. So that's one of the questions that came in. So if you're going to take security add-on, you get BitLocker management along with that. So I think with that, I'm going to complete my webinar. Thank you very much for patiently listening to my session. In case I would be there on the chat for some time, in case you have questions, feel free to post it. We can discuss. Otherwise, thank you very much. Please do rate us on a scale of 5, where 5 being the best. And also sign up for the upcoming training sessions for the software management and so on. If you would like to have a personalized demo, please feel free to leave your email address with us or go to the link that's shown on the bottom of the screen. We should be able to set up a demonstration for you. Thank you all. You guys have a wonderful week ahead. Bye-bye.